irem. And we're starting with 10-yard fight. Cool. So we don't have to go look for the numbers. 10-yard fight. And this is a Japan version, world, set 1. All looks just as painfully slow. Air Duel. Atomic Boy. So just scrolling through the wheel here. The IREM Classics wheel. See what's on it. Maybe talk about whatever kind of... Battle Chopper. Why do I remember Battle Chopper? That might have been one of those pizza joint games. The 2 or 3 sad arcade games that were over in the corner that you would throw a quarter in while you were waiting for your pizza or whatever. Bomberman. I don't remember any of this. That looks like Cosmic Cop. Looks like is it Darius? There's Darius. There's R-Type, and there's Gradius. And Gradius, I think, is the one that I really can't play. It wants to pretend to do a load up on a cassette from a cassette tape or something like that. The ROM or whatever they are. I don't know anything about any of this stuff, but it didn't seem like it was a Play 10. It didn't seem like it was a good version of it. But that's what the Hyperspin was connected to, and I don't like those kind of games enough to go in and look for the other versions that might be buried in MAME that Hyperspin doesn't connect to. Dream Soccer 94, so that's 94. More Dream Soccer. Haven't heard of the IP Dream Soccer, so it obviously didn't catch on. Dino Blaster, Fire Barrel, just another one of those games, and that looks painfully like a game that we just were looking at, right? Wasn't it a Robo something, or I thought it looked like RoboCop. These games like here. I mean, this even sounds like Galaxian. At least the background hum sounds like Galaxian. All of these copycat games that you would see, it's like before there was Asylum making movies, making the rip-off movies back in the 2000s. You know, Snakes on a Train, that kind of stuff. Oh, a lot of Gun Force games. I don't recognize any of these, and I wonder if some of these, well, I guess I was going to say, some of these aren't released in the U.S., and of course this one was specifically released in the U.S. But then this was the world release of that game. Sometimes you see those distinctions. And sometimes you see games that never made it to America, that don't even have any English. Hook. That was well, that looks like that's the world one, because looks like that's the movie brandage there. Ugh, what a terrible movie that was. Steven Spielberg, too. Man. Image Fight. In the Hunt. I wonder if that's like Hunt for Red October. In the Hunt again. More In the Hunt. We're hunting. There's a lot of doubles here. I wonder what the difference is, if it's just the branding or if the games actually have different elements in them. Like, I know they edit movies or they used to do a lot of editing for different markets. The Asian market versus the European market. I don't think they do that as much now, I think, which is part of the reason why I think movies are so generic. Kung Fu Master. That looked familiar. Legend of Hero Tanma, which looks like... That looks like a lot of... Like some indie games. There was one of the games that they covered in Indie Game. I think it was a documentary. A very good documentary. And one of the games was Super Meat Boy, and then there was another game, and it looked like that one. It actually looked like better than that one, but it was an indie game. That was a really, really good movie. Indie Game is what it was called. It's a very good documentary, if you like documentaries. So like there's one, Maiku Jima. You know, not that I've heard of any of these games, and then of course Moon Patrol, which I literally just recorded three days ago. Took a little bit of a break because we had to put our dog to sleep, so we were I was down for about a week in more ways than one. And still am in more ways than one. But getting back to work. Mr. L. Mystic Riders. You know, it's like R-Type meets Bewitched or something, and then Mystic Riders the world. Again, I wonder if there's really anything other than the branding for these. That's the difference from one place to the other with the games. Like, I know that, wasn't there something with Mortal Kombat where they made the blood green or something? So it's, as long as it's Vulcans fighting and spilling blood, it's okay. Pac-Man, ripoff, Panther. Just, and a lot of these games, how do you get excited about? It's like, a lot of these games are like the elevator music of video games. You know, it's like elevator music, like, you're sitting there and it's like the fourth rendition, a pan flute version of a Carpenter's B-side song, and somebody in the booth is like, man, this is jamming. Let's print this. Let's sell this. Somebody will buy it. Yeah, elevator companies. And a lot of these just feel like, hey, it looks like a duck. It smells like a duck. It sounds like a duck, but it's not a duck, man. It's just. Well, he comes to, you know, one of the games that's for real, R-Type. But these graphics look a lot like the other things that I was looking at. You know, it's almost like they even recycled their sprites or something. I mean, I know they had to do that. It was really interesting with, like, the older, like, Atari 2600, like the old... They would do a lot of things where they would combine different sprites that they had in the memory to create other things, which is really, really creative. And I'll tell you something else, too. You want the AI? You've got AI problems and all that stuff? They were making AI way back in the day. You look at how some of these earlier classic arcade games get progressively harder, and these things get smart. You know, it's like they may not anticipate your moves, but they anticipate what most people would do. Or if you go to the edge, you know, you're only going to be able to cover this or that, and they know, and they work around that stuff to come after you. It's like in Robotron especially, and I know I'm a big Robotron person, but in Robotron especially, those things float, they hover, they linger. It's like they know how you play, or they've been trained or they've been programmed to know what most players' tendencies are going to be. It's really, really interesting. And then when you figure that stuff out, then you start playing against that. That's when you get to a different level. He says this, and then there's Space Invaders meets Clowns and Balloons meets, what, Pong Tank Battle, because it looks like that's two players playing each other. And that looks like some amalgam of 3 or 4 different games that they call Spartan X. Spelunker. And another Spelunker. Licensed from Broderbund. So this must have been what, Commodore 64? What was Broderbund? They were PC software, but like back in the day, like 80s, 90s. I think Broderbund, you would see them a lot in the campus store. Golf. But I'd never played golf, so of course I wouldn't be interested in golf games or understand the fascination with them. But Zippy Racer! And I swear I've seen this game 17 times somewhere else. See, even the pterodactyl agrees. Tropical Angel. Undercover Cops. Just, more Undercover Cops. Like, there wasn't enough Undercover Cops. It looks like 17 other games. Bad duds. And more Undercover Cops. The Alpha Renewal version. So in case you were worried, there was actually an Alpha Renewal version of Undercover Cops. Wow. And like I said, just like the elevator music, there was a day when somebody was really excited about this game. And I swear we just saw that game, didn't we? So, and then there's Vigilante World. And now we're back to 10-Yard Fight. Which is one of the more interesting games on the list.